to our English Literature podcast. I'm your host Gunjan. Today we are going to explore a very meaningful and thought provoking poem, Keeping Quiet, by the famous poet Pablo Neruda. Joining me today are my wonderful friends Pranjali, Khushmeet, Ritika, and Tarun. Together, we'll try to understand the poet's message, the beauty of verses, and how it relates to our real lives. So let's get started. First of all, I would like to invite Khushmeet to tell us something about the poet Pablo Neruda.
Ricardo Eliezer Nefalto Reis Basalto, whose pen name was Pablo Neruda, who is the poet of poem Keeping Quiet, was a renowned Chilean poet, diplomat, and political thinker as well, who was born on 12 July 1904 in Parral, Chile, and he became one of the most influential literary figures of the 20th century. Neruda's poetry is celebrated for its simplicity, lyrical beauty, and deep concern for humanity. His work covered themes of love, nature, peace, social justice, and struggles of ordinary people. He was also awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature for his contribution to world poetry.
Beautifully explained, Khushmeet. Now let's move ahead. I request Pranjali to give us a detailed description of the poem.
Keeping Quiet is a peace poem written by Chilean poet Pablo Neruda. The poet asks humanity to count numbers from 1 to 12, 12 being the number of hours shown in a clock or the number of zodiac signs. He requests everyone not to speak because languages create barriers between people. The moment when everyone stops moving their body will be very special and different, as we have never experienced such a moment before. The poet says that in this period of inactivity, the fishermen would not harm the whales, the salt gatherers will not hurt their hands, those who are busy destroying the nature will adopt a new approach towards life. The men who are preparing for wars and victory based on deaths of innocent people will join their enemy and stand in unity with them. No one will harm himself or any other person as they are doing nothing. Everyone will unite and ponder upon their acts and realize the results of their deeds. The poet clarifies that his idea says further that he does not want that people should stand idle. He wants that there should be no war because he does not want to see trucks laden with dead bodies of the soldiers. He is promoting universal brotherhood and peace. The poet says that everyone is working continuously to achieve one's goal. People are threatened by death and the fear forces them to work endlessly so that they can achieve everything quickly. In this mad rush, they do not realize the repercussions of their acts. He wants us to pause and come out of the mad rush. He wants us to be happy about our achievements and celebrate them. He also wants us to overcome the fear of death and to relax for a while. When the people will remain quiet for a while, they will realize the purpose of their lives. Just like all the creations of nature undergo a rebirth with a change of seasons, similarly, keeping quiet will be a rebirth for human soul. It will give a new meaning to our lives. Again, the poet says that he will count till 12 and ask everyone to remain quiet while he leaves. The poet also discusses that by keeping quiet and by maintaining peace and silence, we can be harmless towards other human beings, towards the animals and environment. He suggests that in order to maintain peace and harmony, it is required to stop and introspect ourselves. The poet Pablo Neruda is engaging, and the theme of this poem basically develops around how a human being can develop a better surrounding around himself. It also emphasizes on the stillness and watching the nature. The speaker makes the claim that one can develop a sense of oneness with one's surroundings and other people by remaining silent and observing. The poem also considers how the modern world may be noisy and distracting, and how spending some time to be silent and still can be a helpful strategy for obtaining clarity and inner calm.
Thank you so much, Pranjali. That was a wonderful explanation. Just to take it a step further, if you had to sum it up in one line, what do you think is the heart of this poem?
To summarize this into one line, I would say that Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda is a poem that urges people to pause, reflect, and connect with each other in a world filled with chaos and violence, emphasizing the importance of stillness and silence in understanding ourselves and others.
Exactly, that's such a clear way to put it. Now, let's move to Ritika, who will tell us about the poetic devices used in this poem.
Literary devices used in the poem are: first, alliteration, which is the repetition of same or similar consonant sounds in two or more words. For example, sudden strangeness, in which the consonant S is repeated. Second, assonance. It is the repetition of similar vowel sounds in two or more words in proximity to each other. For example, once on the face of the earth, where the vowel sound O is repeated. Third, antithesis, which literally means opposite, is a rhetorical device in which two opposite ideas are put together to achieve a contrasting effect. For example, dead alive. Fourth, transferred epithet. It is used when an adjective which belongs to one noun is transferred to another noun in the same context. For example, fisherman in the cold sea. Here the adjective cold stands for the fishermen who cold-heartedly kill big fishes, but it has been transferred to the sea. Fifth, personification. It involves the attribution of a personal nature or human characteristic to something non-human. For example, on the face of the earth. Maybe the earth can teach us. Here, the earth is depicted as a human being which has a face and can teach like humans. Sixth, symbolism. When symbols are used to represent an idea or concept. For example, clean clothes, which are symbolic of peace. Seventh, irony. Irony occurs when there is a contrast between expectation and reality. For example, victory with no survivors. Victory which is meant to be celebrated joyfully. But what is a victory when there are no survivors? Or when the survivors have no one to celebrate victory with?
Very nicely explained, Ritika. I'm curious. Why do you think Neruda chose silence as the central idea instead of some other image?
As according to me, Pablo Neruda likely chose silence as a central idea in Keeping Quiet to provide a therapeutic contrast to the constant, chaotic activity of modern life, allowing for introspection, understanding, and a moment of collective stillness for self reflection and mutual recognition. The poem promotes the idea that breaking from the usual frenetic activities and embracing quiet could lead to new insights and a deeper understanding of oneself and others. Silence can speak more than words.
Well said. Silence really can speak volumes. Now let's hear from Tarun too.
Thank you, Gunjan. For me, the poem's central theme is introspection and unity. Neruda does not ask us to completely stop living, but just to pause and rethink how we live. In our fast paced world, silence is a rare gift. The poem suggests that through quiet reflection we can avoid destructive actions and instead nurture compassion and peace.
That's very thoughtful of you, Tarun. Let me ask you this. When you connect the poem to our real life, what message stands out to you the most?
Good question, Gunjan. I think today's world is full of noise, stress, and conflict. If we followed Neruda's advice to pause and reflect, we could avoid unnecessary fights, care for nature, and value human relationships more. Imagine if leaders paused before declaring war, or if we paused before saying something hurtful, life would definitely be more peaceful.
That's beautifully put, Tarun. I couldn't agree more. Well, friends, that brings us to the end of today's podcast. A big thank you to my friends Pranjali, Khushmeet, Ritika, and Tarun for sharing their insights. And thank you, listeners, for joining us. And before we close, a special thanks to our teacher, Mrs. Meena Nagyal ma'am, PGT English, for guiding us and inspiring us to explore the literature in this way. Remember, sometimes silence speaks louder than words, and taking a pause can change the way we live. Stay tuned for our next podcast. Until then, this is Kunjan signing off. Keep reading, keep reflecting, and most importantly, keep growing. Thank you so much.